Hello guys, this is Token from MMO Takeout. Sorry for the lack of audio. Something happened while creating the video. Kinda corrupting files. Trying to fix it for the past few days, but it seems like it's just completely broken. Anyways, this is Tree of Savior once again. Well, the beta is over, but I kind of pre-recorded a few quests here and there and this quest in particular I wanted to actually show you guys because I think it's pretty interesting. I never seen a mechanic like this for a boss, like in the end of the story quest or submissions quest. They have a boss, and I have a really interesting mechanic. And I was wondering why more games never really did anything like this. Is because it's not really a game-breaking thing, and it doesn't seem like it would take too much coding to do. But anyways, that's their choice in the end, I guess. But it's pretty cool to see how they did it. Anyways, the thing that I really like about this game the most is it has a flavor, a mixture between grinding and questing. So you can do some quests here and there, and then eventually you're gonna have to grind. It's pretty cool. Recently I was reading the forums quite a bit lately, and I was seeing how archers have this weird ability where they can just kneel down and it increases their damage or something called kneeling shot, and they literally can just have a weight on their keyboard and they just leave it there on the attack button, and it would just automatically kill monsters for them, and they could just AFK and kill like that. Hopefully that's something they fixed, but hopefully they don't have an in-game captcha. I really hate those things. Hopefully they do something like what MapleStory did, where you can only have 100 attacks in one spot. That'd be a really nice way to fix it, because after a while you would not be dealing damage and you'll eventually die. Hopefully they do have experience penalties in this game. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I personally appreciate experience penalties, especially because it, for one, makes you not want to die as much, and two, it really helps against those botters. Would it really be called botting? Well, AFK farmers. There we go. That's a better use of the word. Anyways, like I was saying about this boss mechanic right here, it's really unique. It's weird because the way it works is when you kill a monster, that monster turns onto your side or joins your team, and when you do this, he helps you kill other monsters. The boss is untargetable, so the only way to kill the boss is to kill as much as you can of these little archer guys, and the more of them you kill, the quicker they die, because then the more of them you have on your team, as you're gonna see quickly ramping up right now. And when they keep on doing that, they eventually hit the boss. Even though they hit the boss for a low amount of damage, I think the boss has a set amount of health, which is 100 or something, or 200. And since he's only hitting once, it takes 200 hits from all these little minions to kill him. And the minions don't really go away after each wave, because the boss keeps on respawning, I think 3 or 4 times. But I think it's really cool. The thing about this boss mechanic is, after you get enough of these guys, you can literally just AFK and just wait for the boss to end. I didn't really do that because I wanted to end quicker, even though they did 3 times my damage. So I was not at any help at all. I could go around collecting loot, help kill it quicker, even if it's just a little bit quicker. And yeah, I'd like to see this in more games, because even though it's not that interesting of a mechanic, it's sure is a cool one. Just imagine doing a raid boss in WoW, and the whole boss is pretty much just trying to get ads on your side. You know what? I actually think I've heard of a raid like that in WoW. I'm not too sure, but I think I heard of one like that. But I think it's an old one. I'm not too sure. I haven't really played much of WoW. I only really played a bit of Wrath of the Lich King, Mr. Pandaria, and Warlords of Draenor. I'm not really a fan of WoW. Not saying it's a bad game or anything. It's just not my cup of tea. I'm not really a fan of those theme park-esque games where you just go around doing quest hub to quest hub, trying to reach end game as quick as possible, and then you just grind dungeons and raids and PvP. I'm not a fan of PvP either. I guess because I'm more of a mellow guy, I don't like having that whole competitive aspect. But some people like PvP, and I think PvP really does, as it really is a necessary, or it's pretty mandatory in MMORPGs nowadays. Even though there's really good games that do it a lot better, like League of Legends, and a little bit Heroes of Storm, Dota 2 for sure. I was a really big Dota nut back in the day. I haven't really gotten to Dota 2, but man, Dota was a really fun game. Sometimes really go back to Dota 1 as well, but anyways, enough about Dota and PvP. In this video in particular, after doing that boss, I didn't want it to really end on a 5-minute video, so I added like 2 more bosses later on in the story in the game, and I don't really know what this boss in particular does. Like, all I really did was tank and spank him, and I was able to do it all solo because, like I probably said in my previous video, I grinded to 40 with a group, and that took me about like 4 to 5 hours, 4 or 5, 6 hours from 29 to 40, and because of that, I'm on the same level, if not a little bit above this quest level, so I could just pretty much bash through it, ignoring every single mechanic of the game. Like, as you can see there, he does that whole clap thing. I just used my barrier right there, or protect. I forgot what the ability was called. Safety field or something like that. Yeah, and it wasn't that hard of a boss. What I really do like about the bosses in this game, though, even though they're not in particularly hard, and they're more often than not grindy, especially if you don't have the right type of armor that you need. I like that, like, in this style of game, they actually tried to make the boss mechanics unique and interesting, even though they don't really have to, because, like, I don't know if anyone else has played any grinders in the past, which were my favorite type of game. But not really. They never really had interesting bosses. Like, especially Maple Story, the only time you ever reach an interesting boss was like Zachem, and in order to do that, you had to be at least, I think, 50 to enter, and like 120 to even deal damage. Any real damage that was actually like legit, but. And I remember, the thing though I liked about Maple Story bosses system is, like, bosses really did matter, and they were like a core part of the game. How, like, the Zachem helm was really something that everyone pretty much wanted. It was like a must-have, and the Horntail necklace. But anyways, like I was talking about this game, like, these bosses, sometimes I think they drop too many of these traps. Like, I don't mind the mechanic here and there, but eventually it just gets annoying. Like, the movement trap is like the least of the problem, but there's this one boss with the silence trap, and against mages, you probably have a better chance of killing them because you're ranged, but clerics, they're like melee supports, and all their damage and heals and all that is melee. So in order to kill him, you have to go into melee range, but he has these silence traps down. I was stuck on that boss for quite a while. I didn't really like him. And of course, if you're a barbarian, then you just smash through everything. content doesn't really exist for barbarians. They're like probably the best solo class in the game so far. I heard they got nerfed though, which is alright. Yeah, I I think bosses in this game are a really good addition to the grinder, because grinding just 24 hours in your game in the game would be really tedious over time, and especially for people that are new to grinders, they would not be used to so much of a grind, and they'd most likely quit because of lack of content, is what they would say, even though grinding is pretty much the content of these grinders. Because grinding is the content, Tree of Savior can do things like make 600 levels, because that's pretty much your whole goal of the game, is to reach max level. And they can make so much quests because they're not making pre-scripted events like theme parks, like all those pre-scripted quests and all those pre-scripted bosses and raid bosses and dungeons. And I think dungeons and stuff were alright when I actually started getting into them after MapleStory, but I personally prefer having more class variety and feeling a little bit more unique here and there and all that goodness, opposed to just going quest hub to quest hub with scripted quests and voiceovers, because everyone needs voiceovers nowadays. Without voiceovers, you can't be a successful theme park game, pretty much, because no one likes to read. It's not because they can't read; it's just they don't want to read. Like when you're doing a book report kind of thing, like you'd prefer watching the movie over reading the book, even though you have to do it. It's a tedious task, and you don't want to, like, after finish doing, like, killing 5 boar asses, or killing 5 boars, collecting their asses, you don't want to have to read exactly why you had to kill those boars and pick up their asses. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching.